You ever get that feeling that the world is just getting more chaotic? That the old rules don't really seem to apply anymore? Well, according to author and thinker Moisés Naím, you're not wrong. He argues that power itself is breaking down, becoming way more unstable and unpredictable. And in this explainer, we're going to dive into what that means for every single one of us.
This right here is the absolute core of Naím's book, and it's such a powerful idea. Just think about it for a second. It has never been easier for someone to start a movement, launch a company, or just get their voice heard. But at the very same time, it's never been harder to actually maintain that influence or control. Power has become slippery, and that changes everything.
So how is this actually happening in the real world? Well, Naím takes us on this fascinating tour of our modern world, from the halls of government all the way to the boardrooms of Silicon Valley, and he shows us exactly how this dramatic power shift is playing out. For anyone in a position of leadership, or really for anyone who just wants to understand the world we live in today, this is a serious wake-up call.
Okay, let's really dig into this. I want you to imagine a massive old fortress, and it's being swarmed by 1,000 tiny, super agile attackers. That's kind of the picture Naím paints of what's happening to our most powerful institutions. They're being consistently outmaneuvered by a new kind of power, one that doesn't play by the old rules at all.
So, what's really causing this massive breakdown of traditional power? Naím has a name for it: power decay. And honestly, it's a fascinating and maybe even a little bit of a scary idea. So let's break it down. You ever wonder why it feels like our leaders and institutions are just less effective than they used to be? Naím argues it's not just about the individuals in charge, it's the system itself. The very structures of power are weakening, and that makes it so much harder for anyone to truly get things done and stay in control.
And what's driving this decay? It's like a perfect storm of forces that are completely reshaping our world. We're more connected than ever before, information is absolutely everywhere, and people are far less willing to just accept what they're told. All of this is chipping away at the very foundations of traditional power.
I mean, history is just littered with the ruins of once mighty empires. But Naím's point is that we're seeing a similar thing happen right now, in real time. Just look at movements like the Arab Spring, which showed just how quickly the supposedly powerless can topple the powerful. And it's not just about institutions. This is happening in our own minds too. We've simply lost a lot of faith in authority.
But as these old power structures start to crumble, new ones are rising up to take their place. And they look very, very different from what we're used to. Naím calls them micropowers, and they're basically the Davids to the Goliaths of the old world.
These are the disruptors, right? The innovators, the people who are changing the whole game. They're using technology and social networks to completely bypass the old gatekeepers and challenge the established order. And what's really interesting is they're incredibly effective at it. I mean, just think about companies like Airbnb and Uber. They completely upended these massive, centuries-old industries without owning a single hotel or a single taxi. And in politics, movements from Occupy Wall Street all the way to the Tea Party showed that you don't need to be in Washington to have a powerful voice. That's the influence of the micropowers.
So what's the big lesson here? It's simple, but it's also incredibly profound. In the 21st century, size just doesn't matter as much as speed and agility. The giants are vulnerable, and the little guys, they have a real fighting chance. And this shift is also transforming the way we work and organize ourselves. The old top-down hierarchies are being replaced by more collaborative and flexible models. Just take a look at this table. In the past, it was all about top-down command and rigid corporate ladders. Now, it's about networked teams and shared access to information. The crucial point is that the future of leadership is about collaboration, not command. Okay, now this is where things get really interesting. Naím completely flips the script and shows us how weakness itself, when it's organized and amplified, can become an incredible source of power. It's a radical idea, but it's happening all around us.
This is a new kind of power that doesn't wait for an invitation or ask for permission. It's not about following the established rules, it's about having the moral authority to change them. It's about winning hearts and minds, not just controlling territory.
And we see this power in action everywhere. From WikiLeaks exposing government secrets, to the #MeToo movement taking on Hollywood, all the way to a single teenage activist like Greta Thunberg mobilizing a global movement. In our hyper-connected world, a powerful story can be far more effective than a powerful army.
For centuries, power was all about control. But in the internet age, that has pretty much become a fantasy. Trying to control information in a world of social media is like trying to catch water in a net. It's just impossible.
So what does this mean for our leaders? Well, they're constantly playing defense, reacting to the latest crisis or controversy instead of actually setting the agenda. And it raises a fascinating question for all of us. In a world that's built on openness and connection, is the very idea of top-down control just a fool's errand?
So where does all of this leave us? Naím tells us that it's time to throw out our old maps of power and start drawing new ones. It's really time to rethink our world.
One of the most unsettling consequences of this power shift is that leadership has become a revolving door. People rise to the top, and then suddenly, poof, they're gone in a flash. Whether you're a politician, a CEO, or a celebrity, you're under constant scrutiny, and one wrong move can be fatal. Naím has this brilliant metaphor for this new reality. He says that power today isn't a throne you sit on, it's a treadmill you're constantly running on. The moment you stop, you fall right off. And that has huge implications for how our leaders make decisions.
So is there a way to lead effectively in this chaotic new world? Naím says yes, but it requires a completely new mindset. It's about being humble enough to admit you don't have all the answers, adaptable enough to change on the fly, and emotionally intelligent enough to connect with people on a human level. This is a new kind of leadership for a new kind of world.
Ultimately, the end of power isn't a story of decline, it's a story of transformation. It challenges all of us to let go of our old ideas about control and embrace a more chaotic, but also a more democratic future. The age of the pyramid is over. The age of the network has begun.